Hello guys, welcome back to VC Tech. In today's video, we will explore network fundamentals with real-life example, and also we will be using Cisco Packet Tracer environments for the configuration, and also we will be seeing the difference between a switch and a hub, and also how ARP obtain MAC address from devices and how to check for MAC address. So with that being said, let's head over to the PowerPoint and see. For this tutorial, we'll be talking about the network basics that includes a switch versus a hub. We'll be seeing the difference between a switch and a hub, and also how MAC address and ARP works, and a default gateway and what it does, and the routing basics. Now let's talk about a hub. A hub is a basic networking device that sends data to all connected devices, even if the data is meant for just one device. That is how a hub functions. It doesn't think, it just broadcasts everything to everyone. Example, if PC1 wants to send data to PC2, the hub not only sends data to PC2, but it also sends data to every devices that is connected to the hub. However, on the other hand, a switch is a smart device that sends data only to the device that the data is meant for. It uses MAC address to identify which device is connected to which port. And an example for this is if PC1 wants to send data to PC2, only PC2 receives that data, not any other device on the switch. So with that being said, let's head over to the Cisco Packet Tracer and see the difference between a switch and a hub, and how they broadcast the message that comes to the switch and also to the hub. So let's start from the switch and let's try to ping from, for this device we have an IP address of .5, and for this we have .4, and this is .3, and this is .2. So let's ping from .5 to .2, 192.168.1.2. Oh, so here there is communication. Let's also use simulation, so you see how the data is being sent from .5 to .2. Now we replay this and just watch. The data leaves .5 and it's going to go directly to where it's supposed to go to, which is .2, and also .2 will send the message back to show that the data was acknowledged. However, on the other hand, let's check how the hub functions. So for this device goes with .5, and this is .4, this should be .3, this is .2. So let's also ping from this device from .5. So we've done that before. So let's ping .2 from .5. Let's also put this in simulation mode, so we see how the data is being broadcast. And if I play this, you see the .5 sends the message to the hub, and the hub would broadcast the message to every device that is connected to the hub. So this is how a hub and a switch works. Now let's move over to let's end this and bring to real time. So this is how a hub and a switch works. A hub sends the message to every device that is connected to it, while a switch sends the message to only the device that the data is supposed to go to. So let's talk about what a MAC address is. A MAC address is a unique hardware identifier for a device network interface. Now, each switch uses a MAC address to remember which device is connected to which port. I'm going to show you how we check for MAC address. So let's use we'll be using the switch. So this is how we actually check for a MAC address, as it says here. So how to check for So how to check for a MAC address. So we just go to the laptop PC and go to command prompt and say ipconfig slash all. Let's take it out from ipconfig slash all. By doing this, we are able to see our MAC address and also our IP address. This right here is our MAC address, as it says physical address. This is our MAC address, and this is our IP address for that system, as it says 1.5, and this is the system, it also says 1.5. So that is how to check for a MAC address from your PC, and also see your IP address too. ARP is an address. So let's talk about what ARP is and what it does. So ARP simply means Address Resolution Protocol. It is used to link IP addresses to MAC address within a local area network. So let's say PC1 wants to send data to PC2, which is 192.168.1.2, or it only knows the IP address, but it does not know the MAC address. So the way PC1 can learn the MAC address is to ping 192.168.2. That way, it's going to learn the MAC address of PC2. And we can do that by going to command prompt also. So let's go here and let's say, oh, we've already pinged some devices, so I believe there will be MAC address. So let's say we want to check the ARP table. Here we've pinged .2, as you can see. This is .2. We've pinged .2, and .2 has the MAC address of this. Let's also go and check if it correlates with the MAC address of .2. So how do we check for MAC address? It's ipconfig ipconfig / all. And as you can also see, it is the same MAC address that we saw in .5. It is the same MAC address. Let's also ping another device. Let's ping .4. Let's first of all check the MAC address of .4. Try to ping. So .4 has this MAC address 00602FDE. So let's ping .4 from .5. This is 8.4. So we are able to gain communication. Let's also check the ARP table to see if we got the MAC address of .4. And as you can also see, we also have the MAC address of .4. And this is how you link or you obtain a MAC address. You use ARP to obtain MAC address from PCs. If the switch does not know the MAC address, this is how you obtain MAC address from PC. So a default gateway is a router that connects your local area network to other networks or the internet. So let's put it this way. A device wants to go outside the local area network. It wants to access the internet. It has to go out through a default gateway. I'm going to show you what this means when we go to the configuration phase, and we'll also test without a default gateway if a PC could actually leave the local area network. So with that being said, let's head over to slide and see how we can do that. So this is the topology that we will be using for this default gateway. So this is, if for those who don't know what a local area network is, this is a local area network. Right here is a local area network. If any of these PCs wants to leave this local area network and go to the wide area network, they would have to pass through the default gateway, which is the interface that is directly connected to the switch, which is interface gig 0/0. Now let's check if let's assign IP address to the PCs and let's try to ping this device on the outside network, because there is a switch and the device needs a default gateway to be able to go out of the local area network to ping another device in another local area network. So let's try to assign IP address to all the devices and try to ping without assigning a default gateway, to the interface of the router, and see if it connects. Assign IP address to all the PCs. So we're giving this .3, and we want to give this a default gateway of .1. We'll only be putting the default gateway in the laptops. However, we will not configure default gateway on the router's interface, and let's see if the communication goes through. We also want to assign IP address to this, and we want to give it 4 and default gateway of 1. This is the last PC, as we want to assign IP address and also a default gateway of 1. And let's also go to the local area network of the other device and also assign IP address. For this, we'll be using different IP address since they are in a different local area network. So this will be taking 2.2 and the default gateway will be 2.1. Let's also assign IP address to this device. 2.3, 2.1. So we've assigned IP address to all the PCs. We've assigned IP address to them manually. Now let's try to ping this device on the other local area network. Let's ping from this device. Remember, we don't have. Let me also say no shutdown to this. So interface gig 0/0. We want interface valid. So what interface is this? Oh, we're using this one. So alright, so +0. We want to say no short. So as you can see, it turns on to green. Let's also do that for the other interface and connected to the router 0/0/1. Want to say no short. And as you can see, they are both active. However, there is no IP address on this interface as well as on this interface. Well, let's try to ping and see if it goes through. So let's ping 192.168.2.2. This would not work since there is no default gateway. There is no way that the PCs in the local area network could access the internet to communicate with devices on the other local area network. So as you can see, communication is not possible because there is no default gateway. It has not been configured on this interface and also on this interface. Now let's configure the default gateway on interface gig 0/0/1 and see what happens. So let's say IP add 192.168.2.1 with a subnet mask of 255.255.0. Now we've assigned IP address. This IP address is considered to be the default gateway of this local area network. Excuse me, of this local area network. So whenever the devices in this local area network wants to go out of the local area network to the wide area network, they use the default gateway to leave the local area network. Let's also assign IP address to interface gig0/0/0. Interface gig0/0/0. And we want to assign IP address 192.168.1.1, the subnet mask of 255.255.0. Now we've assigned IP address to this. We've assigned a default gateway to this local area network. And usually the default gateway of a local area network is always on this interface that is directly connected to switch. Now, since we've done that, let's also test for communication from the devices and see if it goes through. So as you can see from this device, we were not able to ping 2.2. Let's try that again. So because we have a default gateway, now we are able to ping 2.2. While before we were not able to ping 2.2 because there is no default gateway, but now we are able to ping 2.2, and we'll also be able to ping 2.3, and we can also be able to ping the network back. Just 2.3. As you can see, communication is going through. And if we want to do a very long check, we could also check for the MAC address. As you see the MAC address, you also see the IP address. So this is how these things are done. Let's also ping from this device to the other local area network, 192.168.1.18.1.3. And you can also see that we are able to communicate from both local area network because we have our default gateway configured on the both interfaces of the router. Let's also head back to our presentation and see what we have left. As we have the routing basics. Routing basics is a process a router uses to move data between different networks. So let's say local area network 1 wants to reach local area network 2. It sends data from PC1 in local area network 1 to PC2 in local area network 2. And this data passes through the router. If there is no router, local area network 1 cannot communicate with local area network 2. The router makes that possible. So this right here is a routing process because it enables this network to communicate with this network here. That is a routing protocol. However, they are both directly connected to the same network. These PCs here cannot communicate with these PCs here if there is no router. That is why we need a default gateway to access the wide area network. So the key takeaway for this tutorial is a hub floods all devices while a switch targets one device to send the data. MAC address uniquely identify a device as ARP links IP address to MAC address. The default gateway connects local area network to outside network or internet, as the router enables communication between networks. So with that being said, guys, we've come to the end of this tutorial. If this video helped you to know the difference between a switch and a hub, and also know how to check for MAC address, and also how ARP obtains its MAC address, and how a default gateway works, it's going to be great if you like, subscribe, and share this video.